I was a boy, everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen. It will never happen. We cannot have a meltdown.
Well, I hope you're all comfy in your dogma snuggies and your cocoon and your bubble you created. I hope there's a few that can break out of the vortex. Obey, consume, obey, consume, obey, consume. Don't you love it? I love it. Natural News says all the bluefish tuna now are radiated. They're regurgitating a report that I did in April of 2014 for the 15th time. They're regurgitating a report that I did in August of 2011. Now, too late. Don't you love it how these... Look, I cannot wrap my mind around how ignorant this place has become. Look, the thesis, yeah, something's rotten in the New Denmark. The answers are pathetic. I mean, coward America. But, I've been rat and raced from the day it happened. The data's out there. People refuse to accept it. Because, they look at YouTube as this abstract, crazy place. Whatever this, I don't know what it is. It's like, again, abstract. It's the most concrete place in the world. It's the most powerful freaking news resource, the most powerful information resource in the history. It's virtual. It cuts across all immediately. It's organic, it's fresh, it's new, it's fast. Yeah, granted, you have to dig through and find, what you can find, where you can find, how you can find, but people are smart enough to do that. It's unbelievable how 5 years ago, I'm going on 5 years, I stand right by the pond, go crazy. Stand right in my house, go crazy. Within hours of it, they're going to lie to you. The propaganda machines are going to go thing, right in your face. Don't you love it how people pull back from the word fuck? When they all talk like that behind closed doors, when they all communicate, don't you love it how they posture and drum you into this hairspray masquerade, passive, feminized place in the world? And, that's another thing, too. I'm going to dive into this, and I'm going to dedicate the whole show to Freedom Eisenblower, who passed. But I want to dive into this first and foremost, how they've homogenized you, the American populace, into redefining the word masculine and feminine. So it's like when I go in front of the MoMA and I say, well, they're discriminating against heterosexual artists, which they are. It's a fact. It's so in vogue. Now, feminization, what you term to be feminine and what you term to be masculine, is not what the words mean. And it's like the neo-radical insane right, what they posture and freaking so I'm going to counter the feminization of America by a girl fighting, or I'm going to get in a fight when these pussies couldn't beat their way out of a wet paper sack. One of them, I'm going to get a gun. The most cowardly thing in the fucking world is to fucking, I got a gun. I'm going to shoot range and try to intimidate nobody. Who, your wife or your kids? You're intimidating nobody. So, and people go for it because it's a cartoon. It's a masquerade party. So, the greatest human rights activists living on the face of the planet, bar none, by a million times. Probably the greatest in 100 years. I know that's hard for Americans to wrap their mind around. They know in Austria. In that part of the world, they all know. She is the champ. Because, look, as a human rights activist, as an environmentalist, has to do with accomplishment. It's like a guy told me yesterday, oh, there's lots of it. No, there's not. No, there's not. I tell people this all the time. And since 1980, I want you to name me one single human rights activist, one single fucking environmentalist that accomplished anything. You can't because there are none. Not in the United States. We lost every single fucking battle we fought. Every single. Because what happened? The so-called resistant movement becomes so passive-aggressive and fake like they were feminized. When they're not feminized, they're passive-aggressive. And there's nothing masculine about them. They faked it. America's a fucking masquerade party. It's a cartoon fucking show. It's a giant cartoon. That's all it is. Everybody fucking divides up, brands themselves. I'm from Compton, when they've never even been in Compton, and I read gun magazines and I got tattoos on me. I'm fucking badass. Fuck, please. I got a Harley and tattoos on me. I'm a fucking please. Fucking pussies couldn't beat their way out of a wet paper fucking sack. Johnny got his fucking gun. Now, there's elements, but I'm talking in the aggregate. I'm a surfer. My fat ass fucking with my beer belly, and I'm going to go float on my board, drive up and down the coast when they can't surf. Skiers who can't ski, surfers who can't surf, hunters who can't hunt. I'm going to go to Cabela's and get me some camo fucking gear, put my head, I'm going to talk like I'm fucking so poorly educated and so fucking stupid I don't know anything. I'm going hunting. I'm going to buy me one of these vehicles, tow around my pickup. I'm going to buy me a big jack pickup. I'm going to get me some snowmobiles, and I'm going to fucking put a hairspray, and then I'm going to go up in them hills, and I'm a hunter. Fucking please. Yeah, you're a fucking hunter. Yeah, and I'm Bigfoot. It's a masquerade party. It's all posture and grimace. Christmas. Look what they've evolved Christmas into. Celebrating the birth of Jesus, which Jesus was born April 6th. It's unarguable. Nimrod's birthday. Obey, consume, obey, consume. When I was a kid, because these people really were Christians, a lot of them here, Christmas was celebrated for an entire month. Nobody worked, for at least 2 weeks. I mean, the entire freaking place had it off, and it was about gathering with each other. It was the most communal thing you ever seen. Parties everywhere, every freaking place. There was always something going on, and that's what it was. People celebrated, they relaxed, they had fun. It was a community for everyone. Not now. Now let's go shop, 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 shop till you drop. Shop, shop, never stop. And look, you're talking the echo boomers, who are the dumbest human beings in the aggregate in the history of humanity. Now, baby bombers are the most passive-aggressive evil in the history. Oh, yeah. But they're not the most ignorant. They got good educations. But echo boomer, we're talking between 35 years old and about 50. These are the dumbest human beings who ever walked on the face of the earth. Go talk to one. Go talk to them. I'm talking in the aggregate. These are so poorly educated. You'd have a conversation with them. I just want you to walk around, ask them basic, like, who's the first president of the United States? They're just stuff that anybody would know. Jesse Ventura is a freaking. I go off on him. I go off on them all. Alex Jones, all these, because what they do, they find out basic common knowledge that existed. They're all obese. They got tattoos. Don't you love the obesity of that generation? And then they put tattoos on their obese body parts and make sure people can see them. Like, I'm proud to be a freaking, gluttonous. Gluttony is a sin. Gluttony is a sin. One of the 7 sins. No doubt. The overindulgence Oh, it's not my fault. Self-internally, they chemtrailed me. They GMO'd me. They put fluorine in my water. They vaxxed me. Fucking what a crutch. What a crutch this country's turned into. They're so lazy. Drive up window. Everything right there. I can take the pill. So how did it end with all of them? I've watched it so many times. I have watched it. So I got this friend. 4 years ago when I got cancer, he got cancer. Your typical echo boomer named Dusty. Tattoos all over him, badass gunshot. He's going to kick everybody's ass. He's fucking got these stickers all over his car. Wife, kids. Then he got cancer. We've seen what he really was. The biggest pussy I ever fucking saw in my life. I'm like, what? No, come walk around the hall with me. No, he just laid there. He told me straight up that cannabis was going to save him. I said, you have ML. You're in a fucking ICU unit from hell here at the top of East 8. They don't, when you arrive, look, when you land in one of these units, it's on, and I mean beyond on. You get into an acute bone marrow transplant unit, I mean, beyond on. You're past all that. He laid there, I tried to talk to him, and this is the self-indulgent. He got kids, wife, refused to even try, refused to even fight. It was going to save him. I never seen anybody die so fast in my life. I mean, didn't even try. Not one effort. That's what I think. What a fucking coward. You know, and he could have fucking lived a lot. He might even beat it. Didn't even make an attempt. I see it over and over and over. I had a friend named Tracy in there. I like this guy, and he tried. He thought that, you know, all he was is, you know, me and my new wife, we just bought us a pair of Harleys, and so Judy, she was incredible. I mean, what a fighter, but her husband, what a douchebag. You know, I mean, these guys, so I want people to understand this. And a lot of people don't know that the evidence is right there. Do you know a lot of people who ride motorcycles in groups, like the Sturgis crowd, like the crowd that goes in these big freaking groups that do on these, we're going to get on our Harleys, we're a lawyer, we're going to, you know, put our woman on the back. Have you seen their women? Woo. Now, let's go back to the 70s. I grew up there. I saw this freaking, the Hells Angels women, the women of them days. Whoa, these ain't their women. These women. Oh no. Oh no. They're so far removed from that. Those girls in those days were beyond freaking radical, over the top. Holy cow. Intense like their men. I mean, these guys were downright dangerous. So were the women. I mean, amazing. I mean, you want to talk countercultures, rebellious? Oh my God. Look at them now. So, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of those people get leukemia, especially a lot of the women. And let me tell you why. One of the number one causes of cancer, well, we know the number one cause is nuclear fallout radiation. It's unarguable. When you get a leukemia like I got, the federal government makes you fill out a pamphlet and a book while you're in there. When you go in and enter the bone marrow transplant, you get diagnosed with AML leukemia, the federal government has a pamphlet. It's about 40 pages deep and 40 pages long. Every question on there. What you were exposed to, where were you exposed, were you exposed in the medical, this, blah, blah, blah. You know, exposure to radiation, exposure to benzene. Every question, deeper than hell. They have all the data, they know it. A lot of people that ride in packs on motorcycles get leukemia, because especially the girl in the back, because you're driving for hundreds of miles for hours and hours in a pure plume. You're just inhaling that freaking plume. There's benzene in that fuel. Now, granted, the fuel's much better than it was. Airplane mechanics get it. Railroaders, number one. Railroaders that work in freaking exposed to that fuel. Now, granted, the fuel's much better, but a lot of them get it. And they don't understand that because they're all counterculturists. And, you know, I talked to this one in California when I was walking along, that whole big, you know, mob of Harleys. I mean, just slobs, just pigs, gluttonous pigs, all of them. I've never seen one of them in decent, really good shape. You know, and I'm like, I'm talking to him. Walking along, he stopped and was talking with me. Dude was so far removed from anything reality. I'm talking to him what I was up to. He's asking, oh, well, we're all going to die. No shit. Thank you, Einstein. Tell me the sun comes up. You know, and I says, what, at 20 and 30? You know, that's the far-right radical fucking overcompensation that they think they're masculines. when that is the complete opposite of masculinity. Masculinity is strength. Femininity is strength. They're both the same thing. They're both the same thing. Elegant, strong, beautiful. One's female, one's male. Now, does it have anything to do with fucking homosexuality? I don't think it has anything to do with it. I go back to the Stonewall riots, 1970. We need the gay community. Oh, do we need those guys? Oh, do we need, the old school gay community. The old school gay man community. Wasn't anything about being in vogue. They were gay men. How fucking radical those dudes were. Oh, did they fight? You didn't want to fuck with those dudes. I'll tell you, you went to New York City, we were having shootouts on the BQE between the Black Panthers, the police, whatever. It was an intense fucking time. The one group you didn't want to fuck with, go over to the Village and make some of your fucking red state fucking slanderous bullshit. Go do it now. I'd love to see it. It's like these guys are fucking the racist comments and fucking live in Utah or fucking live whatever, and they're abstract false equivalency neo-love bullshit. Go to Brooklyn, talk that shit. Go there. See how long you fucking last. Beat up all the fucking guy. Wow. Cowards. It's like that guy squares off against that dude after Trump fucking rides out. You know what that dude would have done to that fat punk? He squares off like he's a badass. I want to fight that dude. Let him square off with me, and I'm 55 years old. I'd drop him like a bag of dirt so fast it wouldn't know what fucking hit him. It's unbelievable the cowards that this country's turned into. Johnny got his gun. I'm so disgusted with it. People put up pictures of these closets with hundreds of guns and what the fuck are you going to do with it? What fucking cowards. It's the overcompensation. Cowards. There's no confidence. It's self-internalizing in the strife. I'm a counterculture, so I got a fucking tattoo, and 80% everybody's got a tattoo. You're not a counterculturist, you're a culturist. It's like, and then the counterculturist community who thinks they're the intellectual community, the New Yorker, the Punch and Review, freaking Miami Klein, Chris Hedges, pathetic. If those are intellectuals, again, I'm Bigfoot. They're pathetic. They're not fucking they're no Noam Chomsky. Noam did the fucking work. He's an old man. I know Noam. I stayed with him for 2 fucking days, but I knew him even before that. It's like we're walking up to the gig last year, this time of year. What was the end of February? It was so cold in New York. There's a whole bunch of us. Ackerman, freaking, a whole group. Helen had us blackball when my post-ignorance group was the biggest group there by far. We walk up there just, there's Noam standing right there. I just walk up to him, hug him, kiss him. How you doing? Everybody's like, who's that? What? It's fucking Noam Chomsky. What? Huh? It's like when the flag was flying upside down at the USS Reagan Trail. Everybody, hundreds and hundreds of people walking by, and I'm like, look. Oh, Lord, look up. The California state flag flying upside down at the biggest trial maybe ever in the history of the state of California, at the inception of it, which is saying USS Reagan sailors versus TEPCO and General Electric, right at NBC's headquarters. Thousands of people. I talked to everybody. So Lori goes in, says, what's the flag doing upside down? Oh, we didn't know. You mean to tell me it's been like that all day and not one single person's walked in and said anything? Right at the federal courthouse? Was it somebody did it on purpose? I don't know, but it happened. Life is stranger than fiction. Argument can meet man. It's amazing what the subconscious did. Some people probably did it subconsciously. They didn't even know that the subconscious was ruling them, understanding that, hello, SOS. So Frida Meisenbrow passed away at 88 years old. I said at the start of this year, holy Moses. Remember so I did my gig as I do every year, my predictions for 2015. My financial, everything. What did I say? Market's not going to crash, but it sure ain't going to rise. My guess is it'll probably drift a little. That's exactly what I've been so accurate, but no one gets fucked. Because they're caught up in their fucking cartoon character and their dog, man. They're posh and they're grim. The television hasn't hypnotized. They've branded themselves, and there ain't no budging them. But the 25 and under, 35, which I call the post-ignorance generation, they get it. They know. I'm in the street. Look, that's what people don't understand. They'll be in their basement or they'll be in their freak whatever, and they're in their cocoon. You know, and it's important. Keyboard activism is very important. But, you know, you have to interact. You have to socially interact with police, with people, you know, in your community. That's what people don't know. So they have no connection. They have no reality. You know, I'm out there in the streets with all these people. I know the young crowd. The young crowd is the most intelligent, dynamic, ahead of their time that I've, by millions of miles. People say, oh, no, oh, yes, I'm here to tell you. The 17, the 18, the 16, the 21, the 22, the 25, the 26, the 28, the 20. I mean, they're so dynamic. They're so smart. They get it. They have to get it. Look where they're living. They're savvy. They're interested. They're so ahead of their time, the information age, because they understand that YouTube and the Internet is the most powerful information learning source in the history of mankind. They use it. They've used it for years. They learn. They know. They're communal. They're in the street. They get it. Oh, do they get it? I'm out there with them. So, Rita was 88. Oh, did she get it? I was at her house, spent several hours with her. She was ready for me. She knew I was coming. Boy, wow. What a mind. What a path. What a journey. The greatest human rights activist living? Oh, unarguable. From the time she was a little girl, she grew up with a wealthy father. You know, that's what we need. We need people inside the establishment. He was a doctor, by the way, her father. I grew up in a family of doctors. You know, my uncles and whatever, but that was back when medicine was medicine, and those were men of integrity. And now, I mean, they're still there. Vincent Hansen saved me, Fimbo Peterson saved me, but they're rare. You know, Danish philosophy, because in Denmark, nurses rank just as high as doctors. They do residency, nurses. You know, and so, and doctors don't make 1,000 times more than the average fucking working class person. You know, the levelers. It's much more of a fair situation where people are in things for the love of what they do. The tail wagging the dog. Now, everybody now is in for the money first, which never works out. So, as a young girl, she's born and raised in the same town as Hitler. Now, Hitler, a puppet, oh, God, she got into that. Of course he's a puppet. You know, he learned in Vienna. You know, the homeless flopping around all over. Nobody let him in any circles. There was another preacher who had the anti-Semitic rhetoric going because they gave Jews citizenship. And so he'd learned from him. He learned his style. He copied his style. There was a street activist, which Vienna was favored for him, Semmelweis. You know, remember him? Little germs flying through the air. The doctor approved it. Nobody listened to him. So they locked him up, threw him in a rubber room, and then killed him 14 days later. And then Louis Pasteur comes over and hijacks his work years later. But it's Europe's not the cartoon characters like it is here. And I mean, there's elements, don't get me wrong. But here, I mean, it's all freaking an image. It's all a freaking show. It's not who I am. It's what my neighbors think. No one could be themselves. They're so passionate and groomed into being this thing. No one, especially females. Oh, my God, what has happened to the great American female? You know, when I was at Frida's house, I'm like, oh, my God, it's like it was here. My grandmothers, all these elegant, strong, incredible, dynamic, brilliant, hard, freaking, core-working, feminine, strong females. Like, oh, wow. I hadn't met one who talked like her since my grandmother passed away years ago. I was like, wow. How intense. How strong. She got it on all levels. She called it the fair world order. And then I says, yeah, don't you love how they call it? And, oh, yeah. She says they were all paid to call it new. That's all freaking co-op stuff. Been at it her whole life. Not just, I mean, accomplished. Now think about it. One single person takes on the nuclear industry in Austria. The entire nuclear. Spent how much money building a nuclear reactor? State of the art. She takes them on. She's fighting them the whole way. It's done, ready to go on. She has such a following, built such a group that they block it 2 weeks before it gets fueled. Still never been fueled to this day. That was in 1978. She did it. One person. The entire country is so anti-nuclear over there. It's so beautifully educated because, look, it is ignorance. The more people know, the more knowledgeable people know, the more anti-nuclear they become. I made it perfect when I named it post-ignorance. As I said, 10-10-10 when I wrote Post-Figments. Either we pivot now or swallow this whole. Fukushima happened as I was leading up my movement for the 100th anniversary of the shirtwaist fire in Washington Square, where the Stonewall riot freaking erupted, where everything happened right there. Did my walk, did my protest. I did all winter. Fukushima happened. I knew. I knew it was the greatest event in human history. I asked Frida right to her face. Frida, am I over the top going Fukushima the greatest event in human history? Oh, no. Oh, no. She schooled me. I mean, it was like she was prepping me. It's like this wisdom was being passed. Here it was. This incredible activist woman that goes all the way from a young child, just like Michelangelo, to the old elder, the work. She had a heart transplant 25 years ago. The work, the path, thing. Isn't that the goal? Isn't that the goal? You know, they call it the white beard. You know, I've been growing my white beard. But remember in the old halls of academia when they were still freaking the scholars and the leaders? I was inside the University of Vienna. I mean, when they were all there, you weren't allowed to grow the beard, the white beard, till you got to a certain age or path or journey. It took the path. And the goal was to go from that young Michelangelo who used to spit at freaking Da Vinci on the other side of the freaking thing. By the way, Da Vinci, you know, was a pedophile. How old was Giacomo when he moved in? Oh, the thief, whatever. He'd been accused of it many, many times. Brilliant artist, of course. Incredible, brilliant artist. The bastard child of freaking royalty. The, you know, fuck the mama would have nothing to do with the mama. Same old routine, isn't it? That's the way it always goes. Isn't that the way it always goes? So, he died at 88. Very frustrated. Frida had such an elegant freaking life, so she got to see good America. She had incredible, beautiful stories about the United States when she was here. She had, wow. She named up names in the anti-nuclear movement here. She was disgusted. She was really disgusted. She says, we're not far behind here in Austria. And then, she even went off on their so-called Austrian son. Oh, I should have heard her on Schwarzenegger. Oh, she went off. This woman got it on. I never met anybody with such wisdom. And it's like she was ready, and she was passing the wisdom into me and Pavad. And she sat there, and I'm telling you, she was prepared, she was ready, and she was ready to pour it into us. And boy, did she. And we thought we were going to go there, say hi, have some coffee with her, and just meet, talk. Oh, no, she set us down and went off for hours. I walked out there, I told Pavad, oh, my God. You ever felt energy and light in a room like that? In her beautiful apartment in Vienna, overlooking? Wow. I says, oh, my God, can you believe that? He's like, oh, wow. Wow. She radiated. The energy to the light just poured. It was the elder. It was the beautiful, elegant, freaking feminine, strong elder pouring the wisdom. Letting the wisdom, and I believe this. I believe Pavad will become the premier anti-nuclear activist in all of that region. He's from India. He gets it that much. He knows strength, and he's very calm, cool, but he's surely not passive-aggressive. Very masculine, very strong, very integrity, very elegant. That's why my dad was. I think about him. Oh, was that dude beautiful and strong? He sure didn't pack around a gun. He sure didn't have tattoos. He sure didn't ride a Harley. He would throw his hands like me with my mother was a pinup artist who, the artist of the day used to say, she was at Woodbury. Not only could she draw like a camera, she could have been her own model. She was so in love with that guy. Yeah, I wonder why. Because he was all that. Those men. It was about, boy, shut up and get the fuck to work. You're way too pretty to have an opinion. I knew what he meant. But he didn't get a go the glut bird. His life mowed down because of the nuclear cartel. Frida poured so much of that wisdom into me that day and to Pavad. Made me promise. Boy, did she light into me. Oh, did she let me have it in the most perfect way. I would never let anyone talk to me like that, ever. except for her. And I've said this on this vlog many, many, many times. It's the only person I know on earth that could get away with that. Nothing but encouragement, nothing but strength, but going into me as far as trying to join the crowd. Don't you dare get freaking bought out. Don't you dare get postured. You stand your ground. Like Michelangelo. Michelangelo, you read his poetry at the end. Michelangelo, 500 years, holy Moses. And that's why I remember I wanted to go to Europe because I wanted to see Moses, the greatest piece of art ever done, those arms. The stuff. I never made it there. I got chased out of Geneva, went broke, and my whole journey. I was in Europe for, 2 months? And, well, Vienna, oh, what a place. So socially conscious. Wow, they freaking recycle everything. Clean, smart, articulate, anti-nuclear. Oh, my. They go into the school, the elementary schools. Frida organized that. She did that. And they teach them to think about nuclear. There's no answer for waste, uranium mines. First words, Frida, to me, was like, sit down. So sit right here. Have coffee. Kevin, you know it takes more electricity to make nuclear energy than they produce. First words. I said, I do understand that. Then she went on, about how she got that there and how we've lost the fight and what happened here in the United States and what even has happened in Europe and the evolution of the obey consumption and the freaking masquerade. Oh, the royals, the neo-feudals. Who would not know in Vienna? Marie Antoinette's mama, Mary Teresa. That's where the Roman Empire was headquartered for all those years. Them elements, they're still there. I went into the cafe. Brigitte, she took me, and she shows up. I'm here, matter. Kevin, let's go into the cafe. This is the old historic cafe. I want to take you to dinner there. I want to show you some things. First off, she showed me her scar card, biggest Chernobyl necklace I ever seen. She said I was 30 years old when she had 3 young children. She says it rained here. I got such a horrible case of thyroid cancer. It started out slow. They kept whacking more out. And she's told me about so many of her young mother friends, her community, her group of her friends. She started naming off all of them that had died right after Chernobyl within 3 to 5 years from thyroid cancer. She went on this list. So we go into the cafe, and there's Gustav's incredible, it looks like a mosaic, but it's not a mosaic. His incredible painting. And so we sit there. I said, this is the cafe, isn't it? Yeah. So she goes, she knows the old, beautiful waitress. Like I said, that strong, feminine woman. Who was wearing the old waitress thing because that's how they protect their history there. What a place. Could we sit in the booth, the famous booth right there by this famous painting? Yeah. She knew. You guys sit right here. So this is an anti-nuclear activist in the United States, which I learned so much when I went to Austria because when I'm here and I show up at events, especially where I live, people hate me here. They'll spit on me. When I walked up to one, nobody, nothing. California, Oregon, they hate freaking anti-nuclear. They think, I don't know what they think because they're that ignorant. As I gave the Million Mass March inaugural speech, they said, oh, you talk about aliens. That's how ignorant they are. They think it's fairy tale fantasy until they get cancer and then they just drop dead. Not there. I can't believe the people that showed up. I had attorneys show. I had people from all over the country come up just to see me, to meet me, to talk. Because they respect somebody who stands on integrity, that really gets it, that really fights it, that has the journey in the path. They understand that. They see through the bullshit. They understand the softball, the fake, bullshit, the authentic. The one thing, so we sit in the booth, right where Freud sat, right where Trotsky to the head sat, right where Stalin sat, right where Lenin sat, as the Hungarian-Austrian Empire was crumbling from 1899. They were all gathered, and the vacuum was open. So much activism, so much things were going, all roads lead to Vienna. Always has been. And so it was all happening. We sat in that exact same booth. There's, Clements freaking Gustav's paintings on the. Now, remember, as he was a young guy doing those, he would use prostitutes, or, they weren't even prostitutes, just girls. But look how he painted them. Do you understand how disturbing those paintings are, especially as a woman? Those are the most, if you're a woman, you see that, those are the most disturbing fucking paintings in history. You talk about Bacon, he tried to reinvent that. Too late. I'm not a fan of Bacon's at all. I really don't like that fucking art at all. I think it's, again, the tattoo, the self-internalizing, the strike, too late. You go back to those paintings that he did. Look them up. Those skinny, fucked up, naked fucking females, and he didn't paint just the waist up. He painted the vagina over and over and over. I mean, they're disturbing. They're really disturbing. He was disturbed. How could you not be at the time? So it evolved by 1918. They're all dead. You realize the fucking horrific fucking path that Vienna had? The ugliness that existed in fucking, even pre-World War One. All that fucking banged out of there, Trotsky to the head. Wow. I mean, they were all there. It's happening again. Frida saw it. She was born in 1927 on 3/11. By the way, never really said 3/11. I was just, when I got home, I was just doing some work on Frida, looking around, and I'm like, oh my God, she was born 3/11. Her place. She told me straight, Kevin, I never picked this path to be an activist, to be an environmentalist, to be human rights. I never picked it. I never wanted it. It picked me. It just happened. I place in time. She says, let me tell you something. She says, I know your story. She says, your father, the Nevada test site, you getting cancer and surviving cancer in the Fukushima dynamic. It's your path. You never picked it, but don't you dare drop it. That spear, you're carrying the spear. Don't you dare drop it. I know it's going to be hard, and I know it's going to be ugly, and I think, but you're it. You have the light. She says, I didn't know for sure. I thought maybe. But I wanted to meet you to verify. She says, the second you walked in, the second you sat down, you radiate. She says, cancer's no match for you. She says, you've got it. I knew it the second I met you. Just like the second I met her, I'm like, this is an 88-year-old woman? Oh, my God, she sounds like my 25-year-old father. What a brilliant genius. And I kept thinking of Michelangelo. She's he. 88. She died the same age as he. It's like she knew. She knew. Wow. You realize look her up. You realize what she accomplished in her life. And the Green Party over there is the Green Party. It's her. First woman to Parliament. I mean, over and over and over her accomplishments. And she just stood on her own ground. She's a teenage girl. Started writing, just like Michelangelo, a heresy letter. She started writing a freaking newsletter, anti-Hitler. You got to realize, so you see those old, I got to stand on the balcony where Hitler declared Austria his. Look them up. The whole country's gone mad. Look up in Italy when Mussolini's giving his grandstands. I mean, the whole country's going crazy. That famous picture where everybody's got their right arm out and one guy's got his arms folded. That's her. Did you realize how in danger her life was? And her whole family's, for that matter. And she wasn't Jewish. She still stood up to him. Wow. Old Austrian freaking bloodlines. A teenage girl standing up to Hitler in Austria? Are you kidding? Ran out of Austria. She said she thought she was going to starve to death, trying to sneak out. A teenage girl sleeping in the woods, freaking getting out. Then the war ends. She comes back. She went to Paris. Went to work for Riva. Went to work for the IEA, the international. She went to work for the international UN as the UN was born, which was called the Atlantic Conference. In their nuclear thesis, the Manhattan Project turned on and all the money flowing. She was beautiful, elegant. I mean, I think reminded me so much of maybe a Snow, but even stronger and more dynamic because he never got it. He woke up later, so she always got it. I shouldn't make that comparison. She's 10 times smarter than him, but he's great, by the way. He tried. He's a brilliant kid. But he's been neutered by the globalists. She called the Fair World Order was a gig. So she says, I started to see stuff coming across. It didn't take me long to learn. They're lying. Nuclear energy was a lie. She's the first thing I started to understand. They were lying about the waste and its byproduct. And then they were lying about it being clean in uranium mines. And then she says, it didn't take me long. This is a shakedown. This isn't clean. This is all about freaking globalist profits. They're going to run with this. She rebelled right now and became incredibly anti. It went at them. You got to realize in 1945, everybody was pro-nuclear. You're going to put a little freaking dot in your gas tank and your car's going to be magic. You're going to be flying around like the Jetsons, shoved down your throat. She knew better. She went crazy, and she understood as an environmentalist she said it right to me. Anybody, how can these idiots, she says, even all over the world, say that nuclear is clean and the answer to coal? Dirty coal. Are they insane? It's the dirtiest, filthiest. And she went on this tirade, and boy, on all angles, this is a globalist freaking power structure with free money. She took them on. That country is so anti-nuclear. It's so opposite of here. Like in California, where she'd be screaming the loudest. Fukushima hammering. Now the data's coming out. Thyroid cancer. One doctor, and wasn't born and raised in California. She brought. You know how strong that was for her at UCLA Cancer. Thing for her to even use the word radiation. Do you know how taboo it is because of all their funding? She stood up. Says no. My data is showing that thyroid cancer in California is 35% above the national mean, and the aggressive nature is way above the national mean. There's only one answer. She knows it. Environmental poisoning. She says it. Is it the over-fertilization? Of course, which I call fructonium, which is a mixture between the gamma rays from Fukushima pointing out. We don't even know what they are. Killing. It's like the Pacific Ocean is being killed right in front of your mind. It was like when I was in Denmark. I go to the National Aquarium in Denmark, and I go to the National Aquarium the California Aquarium in Monterey. One old lady, but old marine biologist who was great there. But the people at the Monterey Aquarium know more about the Pacific Ocean, in Denmark know more about the Pacific Ocean and the dying of the Pacific Ocean than they do in Monterey. It's all a cartoon. You got to see the guy that runs the Monterey Aquarium. He's got this long hair, and he walks around like he's this cool hippie from the 60s and whatever, and jumps around like he's nuts and whatever. He's a fraud. They're all frauds. They're cartoon characters. They think they're all that. They're pathetic. They don't even know how to study the ocean. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. It's all a fucking mess. Denmark, I talked to the head of the aquarium there about the Pacific. He started to cry. I'm telling you, he started to cry. And he was older than me. And a real man, a true male, a masculine, strong male. He cried. Why wouldn't you? The death of our mother? The rape of our fucking mother? Wow, life doesn't come from there. We're creationists. What does it matter? I like how they pick and choose. That poor Jew, that brown-haired, brown-eyed poor Jew who took a whip and went into the temple and threw the money changers, the bankers. Now they're buy here, pay here, payday loan. Throw them out, and they call themselves. It's a fucking masquerade party. What she was able to accomplish in her lifetime, I don't know anybody. It's like Michelangelo. The Pope, he paints all the nudes. He wasn't a painter. And by the way, laying on his back, his own writings and his own sketches, he stood on the scalp. He doesn't, his sketches would look like a little kid's sketches, whatever. And those paintings are so powerful. They're not. He was the sculptor more than the painter by many, many times. It doesn't matter how neat and pretty a painting or sculpture is. Those paintings aren't that neat, and they're not that good. Powerful, beyond powerful. But what did they do to him? Just like Uncle Tom's Cabin. He goes along. He goes on Barack Obama. Well, you got to be black to be an Uncle Tom. He's a globalist. People don't even know it. I talked to young African Americans. You ever read it? You know about Harry Beecher Stowe? Do you know the story? They don't even know the story, which is pathetic to me. Again, ignorance. You ever read Moby Dick? The whale suckling on the mama, Teddy. What? Nope. No clue, no rhyme. Overworked? I don't know. You can watch it on YouTube. You can read the condensed version and still get the gist. You don't have to pour through the whole book to understand. Same, you can watch it. You can watch Hamlet, freaking Mel Gibson and freaking Glenn Close on freaking the movie, which is powerful. You can watch all this stuff. You can watch Cassandra. You can watch all these things. They've been spun and diced and what, but you can still get the gist of the fucking story. So she gets them all kicked out. They're so anti-nuclear there, it's unfucking believable. And there, right there in Vienna sits the UN. The UN has 8,000 employees. Well over 3,000 are with the IAEA. Rod used to work there. A lot of people used to work in there. Free money. Did you know they pay no taxes? Zero. It's their own city. They come out there with these brown paper bags. See, and nobody ever protests there, so I caught them off guard. I think the best thing ever there, Sandra and I, and we did some work. I did a lot of work so I could recognize these people that are with the IA, so I could recognize them by face when they walk out. Well, there's a back entrance. They take people in the car, and there's a gas station, but nobody ever uses that back entrance because the subway's so nice in Vienna. They take their thing, they just get off, and you'll get off the stop, and you just walk out, walk right in the main entrance, because they've never had any resistance movement there, because no one's ever protested there. So I set up there. I go in there. Sandra's detained by Austrian police, which Austrian police were very, I think they were great with her. She'd gone to the rules, whatever, and, she's like, Kevin, you're supposed to be here, I'm not supposed to be here, online. I didn't know she was detained by Austrian. She didn't know I was detained by the UN security inside. They had me. I'm just going through security to go through, which anybody can go through. They stopped me. I'm like, what? I'm just taking a big African-American guy who grew up in Brooklyn, by the way. He stopped me. He was the first to stop me. I said, well, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm just taking the tour. Well, you got to, this in your bag, whatever, what I got. Who cares what I got in the bag? Just put it in the locker. Okay. First layer I go through. Second layer I go through. Third. No, you need to come over here. I mean, little holes in the wall. It's like freaking, something off the Wizard of Oz. This guy comes out of a fucking hole in the wall. I need to talk to you. Why? White shirt. You're not taking the tour. Why? I just want to see it, which is part of my legal right as an American citizen, as a world citizen. I'm part of the UN Charter. I mean, why can't I? That's the rules. Anybody can. I can go, no, you're not. Why? Kevin Blanch, you're not going in. So you're here to protest, he says, huh? Not inside. I'm not going to protest. I just want to see it. I want to attend the WIN meetings. I want to attend that hearing. I have the right to attend that hearing. Nope, not you. But he says, I'll tell you what I'll do for you. He says, I'm going to let you protest outside because I know that's what you guys are up to. They've already been talking to Austrian police. And he says, Kevin, this is between me and you. I think it was from Poland. He says, I support your work. I support what you're doing. This is between me and you. But they're not about to. They're not going to play with you. And he says, here's the Austrian rules. As long as you're by yourself and you're not organized, you don't need a permit. But if you're going to protest with even more than one person, then you got to have a permit. Okay. And I know that. I've already been talking to Austrian police. I want to follow the rules. I'm a guest in their country. I want to follow the Austrian rules. And I there talked to Frida, and Frida says, well, whatever I had an attorney show up, really great attorney. They call them advocates there. And so he says, I'm going to set out a section. So there was an argument that ensued. Austrian police, UN police, and this attorney showed up out of the blue. You should have seen this argument. It was so great right there. So we come out of the subway. The subway's right there. There's UN. Where does Austrian property end and UN begin? You should have heard that. Oh, my God, what a great argument. I mean, they're going at it where it is. And so finally, the white shirt, he says, I'm settling the argument. I really don't care where it is, but this is your square. I felt like I was a third base coach. Don't step out of the square again. So they had to come by us. So Sandra and I, and you see how she goes. By the way, that woman speaks 5 languages. Grew up in Africa, during in one of the countries where it was pure genocide. Had to sneak out. Had to hide. Her mom, I believe her father was killed. or maybe it was, I don't know. But anyway, so they have to go by us. So we're set up. I got my signs. He says, "This is your spot." Security was great with this. After that, he had him stand down, and he talked to him. He says, "Can I do a favor with you?" He says, "Yeah. Can I get some pictures with you to show my wife?" You know, holding up my sign. That's inside the UN. That's inside where I've been detained. Those pictures. And I just heard snuck and snap, and he's got some, which was cool. And so, anyway, so these guys would come out, talk about catching off guard, all that, because they didn't know we were there, and they're just used to doing. They got carte blanche. They rape, rob, and pillage. So they come out with these brown paper sacks, all the employees in there. I'm like, what's in the sacks? Oh, they have stores in there. They have gas stations. You should see what, they have grocery stores. You should see what stuff costs in there. All supplemented by the taxpayers of the world. You can buy, 10 cents on the dollar with no tax. Gas is like 25 cents a gallon. All of it's like that. I'm like, wow. So these rats, and I know who they are, so who comes walking through? I'm ready. This is the one that surprised me. I'm like, I looked through the agenda on the west. They're trying to move the nuclear waste to Utah and Kazakhstan, where the deer and the antelope used to play. Remember, they all dropped dead? I wonder why. That's where it's all stored. And they want to bolster it. It's supposed to be low level. That's what it was all about. That's why I'm there. Utah refused to defend themselves, so I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to defend my children. I'm going to defend my grandchildren. I'm going to try. So I'm there. Here comes the CEO of Ariva. I'm like, what's he doing here? You do know it's French-owned government. 80% of that stock's owned by the French government. It's going bankrupt, going broke because of nuclear. They tried to build up the nuclear reactor in Finland. One activist who I've talked to before, via emails back and forth. I'd like to meet that guy. He took them on by themselves, that reactor, kind of like Frida did. That reactor ain't happening in Finland. By the way, especially after they had one on the Gulf of Finland, steam, and they had to evacuate. People fled because they know that Russia's lied to them. They know the Russian government's not going to tell them. They see the steam blowing out of the freaking, Leningrad nuclear reactor the other day. They flee. Was it just a steam pipe? How the fuck would we ever know? People are asking me all the time, what about all these different reactors in Russia? Well, we have footage. We have footage, as I reported immediately, of nuclear malicious dump being blown. You can see the mushroom cloud and all. So we know it's being dumped in Crimea in the Ukraine. As the royals are fighting the queen's little bitch called the United States. So it's the queen and her inbred cousin again, just like it was in 1914 in your head, just like it was then, fighting with the Russian Tsar, Putin, the new Russian Tsar. They're just having a little spat, and they just compromise all their people and slaughter like they've always done. They don't care about us, please. If you don't think they'll slaughter everybody and anything for a little bit of profits is game to them, you know nothing about world history. Nothing. The price they paid in Austria. Frida was a student of history. She knew her shit, boy. Whoa. Probably the most dynamic, intelligent person I've ever met. Elegant. Look at her beautiful little home. She had those beautiful ice cream pastries waiting for us. Here, on a Franciscan, it looked Franciscan style, but Austrian. Wow. Talk about freaking feminine. The ultimate of feminine. Not feminization. Feminine. Not what they've turned it into now. Oh, we feminized. No, they haven't. I don't even know what you would call what they've done to it. It's like all those Russians are cheating again. They're cheating again. They're using male hormones. They're using testosterone. They're doing it again just like they were in 1976. Those aren't women. Those aren't Eastern Bloc. Those Eastern Bloc countries, in Hungary, I was there, Budapest. In East Berlin, I was there. Those aren't women. Those are men. They're using testosterone injections in there. They're cheating. Huh. They're not really women. They're men. Who won the 1976 decathlon, the world's greatest athlete? What a athlete, by the way. Oh, my God, what a athlete. Oh, Bruce Jenner. America's confused. Nobel Peace Prize is given to Barack Obama before he ever did anything. Nobel Prize given to Bruce Jenner, or what? Young Manning? Do you know how confused and disturbed this country has lost their way? Now, transgender, I'll say, this has nothing to do with any of that. People are who they are, and they need to be who they are. But I'm talking about what they've postured and groomed you. Don't raise your voice when the argument inside the freaking courtroom, the argument inside the Senate, and the argument that was the fight. Abraham Lincoln's great books writing about the passion of the argument. Lincoln, Hamilton, Jefferson's fight, the passion, the intense argument. Cordial conversations are dangerous, passionate, intelligent arguments get results. Key word, intelligent. You can't have the intense argument in the street unless you know the subject matter. And that's why I'm so encouraged, because I see it with the young activists. In New York, I saw it. I'm so glad I stayed in New York for the Million Mass Marches. I led the inaugural march. Gave the inaugural speech. People here in Utah, they don't even know. I found a young guy, I'm so into that, anonymous Million Mass March. I'm like, here. Oh my God, I had no idea. And I said, yeah, I live here. Because it's all freaking abstract to them. Can't be a real person, can't be anything, whatever. It's all freaking, they threw avatars into the stars, right? Yeah, I talked to somebody who lives in New York. I mean, that's insanity. Did they blow them? Of course they blew them. All those buildings are wired across New York, including the towers. Remember what happened in 90? They're all wired. All the buildings in New York are wired. Because of a fire. What's Chicago on the fire? So come from one building to the next. Did they not care about their own firemen when they blew them? Of course they didn't care. Giuliani didn't give a shit. Oh, he's a patriot. No, he's a scumbag. They blew them with their own firemen in there because their Motorola freaking wasn't working because of him. They don't know that. Go talk to it. It's like, firemen are heroes. Firemen are heroes. You know how pathetic those statements are? Firemen ain't here. Firemen don't do anything. I know I have lots and lots of friends that are firemen here. And in New York, they don't work. They'll tell you, we haven't been on a call in years. Literally years. They don't do anything. How many fires are in New York City a year? 2? 1? 0? They don't do anything. They're bored out of their wits. They'll tell you that. The ones here, I drink coffee every morning with one. He says, oh my God, we don't do anything. Bored out of our wits. Heroes. He says, you know how pathetic that is? Law enforcement. I thought law enforcement was supposed to be police. Heroes? I like how they freaking line up like they're all big fat badasses at the Minnesota airport. Like, oh my God, police. When inside the police forces, they're going to wake up and break ranks. That they are freaking going at the globalist regime is going after them. Nuclear fallout is going to kill them. They're not on that. It's like George Carlin. You think you're getting close to that club? You ain't getting near that club. It's all these wannabes that want to be in the club, the masquerade party. They posture and group law enforcement. Since when did they start calling them law enforcement? I thought they were police. Law enforcement? I thought courts were law enforcement. I thought judges were law enforcement. I thought we had a judicial process, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. That's law enforcement, is the courts. Judge, jury, executioner, a cop. Oh yeah, they get away with it. Don't fight back. Obey, consume, obey, consume, obey, consume, obey, consume. Pathetic. They're not heroes. They're not even close to heroes. They're the opposite. Hero, police. If you was a call for a hero, she'd get mad. Boy, should change the world. Michelangelo's own friends turned on him. There was a term by a PhD that came up with the term, not that long ago, panty painters. That was like years, I believe it wasn't until the 70s or maybe in the 60s they started calling them diaper painters. Maybe it was earlier than that. People didn't understand because they'd squashed the information on Michelangelo. He was writing that so-called heresy letter. The greatest heretic in human history? Oh, by far, Michelangelo. They panty painted over all those. Those aren't his paintings. They painted over them all. He was very distraught the last 4 years of his life. She was frustrated, I can tell you that, but she passed her wisdom. The movement goes on. We fight on. Happy freaking, what is it, Christmas Eve? I'm not going to obey consume.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical.